Hi comic fans, it's Walt and I'm back with single issue reviews. It's this stack of books, and first I have to address something which might turn you off a little bit. It's a very controversial thing, but I can't hold back my feelings and my thoughts anymore about this particular subject. And yes, I will lose some subscribers, but I need to talk about it after the intro. So, like the comic community is pretty much divided into two kinds of people. Some people who just adore Batman and some who don't. It's a minority, it's a fringe group, but I'm part of it. And I have to now confess this to you, dear viewers. And I totally understand if you cancel your subscription, if you downvote this video, because it's a very emotional question. Do you like Batman? Do you love him? Do you adore him or not? And I don't. I basically don't get him. I don't get that his motivation as a grown man is still this, well, of course, ugly thing that happened to his parents, but it's so fucking long ago. Get over it. First thing. Second thing is, he's supposed to be a normal guy. A very well-trained, normal guy who's just very motivated, like a Punisher kind of person. But, he's jumping off buildings. He's hyper-intelligent. He has this... he's like an inventor of everything, and it's just impossible. No normal person, not even like 100 fantastic great persons would be able to do that. To be like the best in everything. It's not normal. And there are many other things about him that I just don't connect to him that much. But, and here comes the good thing, but sometimes if the right writers and the very good artists tackle him, it's very enjoyable to read. Why? Because it's like good creatives who make things work, and not the characters per se. Of course, everyone has like characters he likes or he doesn't bond to very much, like I do with, or I don't with Batman. But this here is a good example. I hope you can see something, because I have this new light thing here, which is nice because now you see something, but all the covers, especially the DC ones, are very reflective nowadays. So this is called Batman Secret Files. It's a $4.99 book. Format that I'm not very much into, but not this year. It's basically, I would call it a showcase for talent. A lot of, most non-established, but also some established ones tackle Batman and in different ways. And there are like 5 stories in here, 5 stories for $5, and you can see that everyone wants to do good. It's like it's like an application for bigger things, of course. Well, there is one by a very, very unknown writer named Tom King, and the artist Michael Janine. Never heard of those guys. And they have a very short Batman story in here, which is, it's decent, it's fine. But it's only 3 pages, and then we get to what is probably the best one in here. It's by Ram V, who is writing this new Vault series, which is basically my new favorite series, but I have forgotten the name. It's Those Distant Shores? Those whatever shores. It's fantastic. You can just check out my second previous video. I've raved about it. And he works here with Jorge Fornes, who is also a fantastic artist. And let me find a few pages to show you the art. It's a very classical story with a little twist towards the end. The twist is not like mind-bending, but The way that it's told, and like, again, his literary voice of Ram V is so good. So if I would be an editor at either Marvel or DC or any mainstream publisher, this is the guy to look out for. This is the next really interesting writer who can not only do his indie stuff, but obviously he's also very good at doing mainstream work. So just grab him. He's great. Okay, here we're already in the second story. So this is a little bit irritating. You know, I don't want to spoiler for the ending for you, but this is where it ends and this is where it begins. And you don't really know. So one page in between with a title or something would have been nice, but I get that they want to use all the space there is for storytelling. And you can see it's very dense, and I love it. Everyone wants to put a lot of content into their short sequence, and the second one was decent, or the third one was decent, but not super interesting. The one follow that up was by Jordi Belair, written by Jordi Belair, and drawn by, I think, Jill Thompson. Yes. Actually, yes. It has a retro feel about it. It's Batman in some northern situation, like a winter special situation. And yeah, the story was like, the atmosphere was really nice, and I also kind of liked the ending, but it's not like, you know, a story that you remember. You just really enjoy the art and the mood in it, and that's also super cool to have like 5 different tonalities in one book for $5 instead of having one tonality in a very decompressed story in one book for $5 or even $6. We've seen that before. So yeah, really positive. I was really excited about this one. And also the last story was really good by, I always confuse his name with Tom King, but it's Tom Taylor. A very weird name, Tom Taylor. We have a clothing brand in Germany, Tom Taylor, which is not high-end. Let's say it's far from high-end. So Tom Taylor sounds like, ugh, it's always a bit cheap, but it's not. Actually, it was a really good one with Detective Chimp. It's a team up. And yeah, this was very well told. And Tom Taylor has an annual coming up very soon on Batman. So great talent in here. Do yourself a favor. Even if you like Batman, you will buy it anyways. But even if you're not totally into him, it's worth your money. All right, next controversial topic is Green Lantern #1 by Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp. It's something a lot of people looked forward to, me included. Of course, I'm a Morrison fan, like probably most people of my age or age/demographics. I think it's a certain kind of people who also enjoy indie comics but still want to read some insane mainstream stuff. The art is fantastic, like fantastic in a very certain way. I don't think it's for everyone. Especially you have to really like people who have long legs, because Liam Sharp really likes to draw long elongated persons with especially long legs, which is nice. I mean, if you're into fashion and fashion magazines like I used to be, you know that they always used to do Photoshop elongating legs on models. Why not doing it on superheroes? So you can see here, there is a lot of detail, and then bam, this kind of like super clean, super minimalistic moments where everything is cleaned up. So I think that's that's an interesting strength in this book. Art-wise, I was sold, definitely. I also like that, you know, it had many sequences in it, and every sequence had its own well, pacing and page structure and yeah, even coloring. The problem was that there was nothing there that really kept it together. For me right now it reads like a lot of plots which are which will come together, which maybe even it's hinted at how they will come together. Look, very long legs, really nice. But it's not there yet, and there is a kind of like a goofy humor in here which didn't completely land, in my opinion. But I will give it the benefit of the doubt and get the next issue. I mean, it's Grant Morrison after all. I expected it. I was a bit underwhelmed, to be sincere, but because my expectations were so high, so I guess I should just like keep them a bit lower. Yeah, and there was another little detail. I think it was announced as a $3.99 book. I'm pretty sure it was. Sleepy Reader talked about this on Twitter, and now it has become a $4.99 book. I know it's for 30 something pages and whatever, and we get our value and everything, but still, you know, they're really pushing it with the $5 books right now, and yeah, whatever. Next one, which is hyper reflective. I don't know if you can see it. If not, please do yourself a favor. It's Action Comics 1004. Go online and check it out because it's a beautiful cover by Steve Root. And I also bought, is it here? I wanted to show it to you. If you're a Steve Root fan, a new magazine was released. It's not here. I think it's in my living room. Whatever. So a very long, I think it's comics interview or comic creator or whatever, a hyper long interview with Steve Root. And I wanted to ask you guys if any of you is like a Nexus reader and can recommend to me a way to read it or collect it, because there are those hardcover archives and there are those small omnibus editions by Dark Horse. Sorry for the detour. So if there are Steve Root fans amongst you, please communicate with me and tell me how I can get into Nexus, because I want to. So this is Action Comics. It's by Brian Michael Bendis and it's drawn by Ryan Sook. Colors by Brett Anderson. Isn't Brett Anderson the artist on Astro City? Maybe it's not the same one. So the art by Ryan Sook is great. I love this first page. It's now become a regular thing. The first page is always like the computer of someone in the world of the what's the paper called? Daily Planet. I'm sorry, blanked on this one. So it's in the Daily Planet in the ballpen, and yeah, you can see some stuff like some mails which are sent, some little notes, and it's all like referencing ongoing storylines in the DC universe, and it's a really fun intro. You get to catch up with the previous story, but there are little hints and little inside jokes in here, and it sets the tonality of the whole book, which is a very warm one. And this is what I love it. This is for me the quintessential Superman book. It's a lot of Clark Kent in it, and it's more the human side of Superman and it's Superman and his friends, basically. And I love it. I was never a big reader, a Superman reader. I know the films, and I always had a certain expectation of Superman books that I never got whenever I tried them. But this one delivers. I love it. I really love it. Maybe it's not for everyone, but it's for me. Look at this page. It's so nice. It's from Superman points of view, flying, 1, 2, 3 and landing and seeing Louis Lane. Oh my god, this works for me. And look at this love. I mean, do you hate love? Then don't buy this comic. If you like love and also love making, there's a little bit of love making inside it. You should get it. It's really good. Brian Michael Bendix is best at those relationship moments and character moments, but there's also action in it because it's Action Comics and you should buy it. I love it. It's perfect. So I'm very positive today, as you can tell, but not necessarily on this one. Not because it was bad. It was okay. It was decent, but it took me like 5 minutes to read, and it felt a little bit rushed. So I don't even know what it was about. It's Nightwing 52, written by Scott Lobdell, drawn and Fabian Nicieza on script, and drawn by Chris Mooneyham. Which the art was nice. Very loose, maybe a bit rough at some places, but I don't mind. The flow was generally pretty good, but it was very hollow. Not much happened. He jumps out of a building and he realizes that he has superpowers, and basically, yeah, then he wakes up the next day and he's feeding the cats and the comic is over. And then, yes, there's a tease, and I want to continue reading it, but I expect a little bit more for my money than this year. All right, another showcase, I would say. It's a Suicide Squad Black Files, another Files issue. So I guess it's Batman Secret Files and Suicide Squad Black Files. So these Files things are like not part of the main story, which is in the ongoings, but it's like side stories, solo stories. And this one here, the first one features Katana, and it's by a veteran. It's Mike W. Barr. He did a lot of Batman work in the past. He's in his 60s now, and I love it that DC still gives those guys, from time to time, a chance to show off their craft, because it was a very well written story, drawn by Philip Briones, but it was a little bit like written in this a little bit dated way that I enjoy, but it doesn't feel fresh at all. There's a lot of information in here. As you can see, it's not this new super clean and super clear storytelling that is modern nowadays, but also a bit fluffy. This is packed. It's packed with action. A lot of stuff happens in those, I don't know, 16 pages maybe, but it's read like an overlong issue, the first story alone. And it's about Katana and her sword, and in her sword, I didn't know that, I don't know the character very well, lives her dead husband or his soul. It's a bit complicated. And she also has to take care of a girl who has superpowers. And then things happen, and I don't want to spoil it, but we're left as readers, we're left in a very interesting place towards the end of the first story, that I wanted to find out more, which is always a very good thing. The second story was, I guess I was a bit tired, but I didn't really understand it, basically. It was too complicated. But I really like this part here. I know it's like a citation from the protagonist here. I know it's a long shot, but I hope someone somewhere sees the good I'm doing. And I think this is what the author expected for himself, that someone at DC Editorial is seeing how much story potential he wants to pack into, I don't know, not enough pages. I mean, look at this. It's so much information, so much text, different there is like this narrator, there is like information, text, there is dialogue, and way too much going on, way too much information. But I think I will have to reread it. Clarion the Witch Boy is in here. I remember him from the Grant Morrison miniseries. And yeah, I kind of like the art. It's by Scott Eaton, who I wasn't very impressed in his Aquaman run. But here, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I can't say that I enjoyed the second story because I didn't understand it. But I really loved the first one. And I will continue reading it. Next up to indie books. One I was a bit bored with. It's Shadowman number 8. Beautiful art, but I don't know, for some reason it felt like the author doesn't really connect with the protagonist. And he writes him, it's not easy to explain, but he writes him from the outside, not from the inside. I can't really feel him, I don't get through him. I see that what the author tries to make me feel when reading his dialogue or whatever, but it feels like it's not heartfelt. He wants to steer him in a certain direction, but I don't feel it coming from the character, and the character stays quite bland. So until now, Shadowman, the main guy, was traveling through times and traveling through different situations. And the stories themselves were so strong that you got sucked into them. But now that he's on his own, it was a bit bland, and I'm not sure that I will continue it. Next is a book by Alterna Comics. It's this publisher which manages to produce books for $1.50. You can sometimes see it, to be sincere. Sometimes there's a bleed through, or the print from one page bleeds into the other page, and you have like some ghosting effects going on. But this one here looked very clean. It was really nice, nicely drawn, in by Bernie Gonzalez. And maybe you agree with me. It looks a little bit like Phil Hester, paired with a little bit of Darwin Cook. So yeah, it was really fun. It's an old Hollywood kind of setting. If you enjoy noir and old Hollywood, this is set in this world, and it's a detective / horror story. For $1.50, it was amazing. Would it have been a $4 book? I don't know. It was still fun. I will definitely get the next issue. And yeah, well done, Alterna Comics. All right, on to Marvel Comics. 3 books to go. I have to hurry up a little bit. Let's start with the most, let's say, difficult one. Not that I didn't like it, but I have some issues with it. It's What If Magik. They had this What If themed month at Marvel, and one of the characters, which is also one of my favorites, is Magik. She used to be in the New Mutants, and she was a big part of the late 80s crossover Inferno, which was exactly the phase where I got into Marvel Comics. So yeah, there is a special affection connection to Magik, which I don't have to Batman, for example. And reading the intro text here, what Magik went through, I became aware that she's a very damaged character. She lived with a Mephisto-like guy called Belasco. She's the sister of Colossus. She's from Russia, and she got captured by this devilish older man into a place called Limbo, which is a stand-in for hell. And she had to stay with him for a very long time. And when she got back from it, she wasn't 5 years anymore, but 15 or 14. So she lost a lot of time, and this capture situation for me is it reminded me of a thing that we had here in Europe. There was a case in Austria where a girl was captured when she was little, and this guy held her hostage for, I don't know, 10 years or so. And when she got released, she became something of a media sensation, and there were a lot of interviews with her. And you could sense that, in a way, she was eerily normal. But whatever you say, we know what we mean by normal. Like, she didn't, if you would have met her, you wouldn't have thought that her life was any different from yours. But then there were like moments where, I don't know, because you knew it or because it was a little bit, she was a bit weird. And it was very hard to watch. And this is what I also felt now about Magik in this story, that you become finally aware she's not just like an adventurer type, wow, she has this cool superpower, she can teleport. Well, she developed this power to get away from this guy who basically wanted to make her into her sex slave later on, or into his fully formed wife, which he formed from a girl. Very, very Me Too. And I was expecting this to be a Me Too story, and it kind of was, but it didn't land. It didn't land the emotional core of it. I will spoiler it a little bit because I have to talk about it. First, let me applaud the art in here. It's by Chris O'Halloran is the colorist, who I really love from his work on Ice Cream Man. And the artist is Philip Andrade. And man, even if you don't enjoy the story at all, this is a beautiful book to look at. And we have here Magik, who behaves a little bit like how should I put it, like a damaged person. She's of course emotionally easily triggered, and she's also rebellious and wants to fight back, and I totally get that. She has a very punk vibe about her, she always had. But then Doctor Strange, for some weird reason, he comes out of nothing and he tries to take her under his wings. And in the beginning, it's also against her will. And she even confronts him with the fact that, well, you're doing now the same thing that this horrible monster did to me. You repeat it now. For good reasons, because he wants to take care of her and he wants to turn her into her new apprentice, and he wants her to become this new super sorcerer. So the writer is aware of the weird situation that she gets from one Me Too guy to the next Me Too guy, but for some reason she gives in. Doctor Strange is like, well, oh, I get it. I will let you go if you want to go, but you can also stay and I will train you. And she's like, okay, then I will stay. And this for me, I didn't understand. I didn't get it. So if you do this, if you say, I will stay, then I need to know your reasons why you stay with this guy, who you, like, 5 minutes ago, you were, you didn't want to become his princess, now you want to. Yeah, this is part of what was troubling about it. I guess, I'm pretty sure the writer had everything, in her mind, everything made sense. And I think she understood the character really well, maybe better than anyone else before her. And a certain aspect of her character, that she was mistreated, and maybe, I don't know the proper word, but that something was done to her which is very traumatizing. And she wanted to use it, but she didn't have the right tools or the right editor to pull it off. So I don't think it landed well. But I see a lot of potential for the character, and I really hope that someone else, some other writer will pick this up. It's a very interesting, yeah, I think it's a very interesting potential to explore. All right. So we were talking about Doctor Strange having an apprentice in here. And here in the regular Doctor Strange ongoing series, he's fighting against an older apprentice who feels that he, how do you say that? I'm blanking on the word. Who's disappointed by him? Man, what's the fucking word for it? No, I don't find it. I'm sorry. So, yeah, the older apprentice now has this, is an impersonation of Doctor Strange himself. She's like a doppelganger. And she saved him back in the day. I don't know the story. I've never read it. And now she wants to take revenge because he didn't try to save her back, or he wasn't thankful enough, or he just didn't treat her well. So it's kind of weird that we have two books basically dealing with the same theme. I don't know if it's by chance or if it's just in the air right now, and if like Doctor Strange is the Me Too guy now in the Marvel Universe. Maybe he is. I mean, he is kind of an arrogant prick. But yeah, there is this part of the story, and there is this other part with Kana, a person he met in space on some planet and brought her back to Earth. And there is some kind of love relationship going on, which also has, we're not sure about if we wish that this should go more intense and they should get closer, or if there's also something at the core of it which doesn't quite strike us right, because we know that he lied to her. I don't want to be a super moralist here. I mean, lying from time to time, it's okay. But I mean, Mark Waid planted this thing, so I guess we will hear about it later on. But I really enjoyed it. It's very well written, especially the moments between Kana and Doctor Strange were really heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it. It's a great book. It's almost Marvel's best, at least from the books that I read. But then I read this one, Hulk, number 8, and it was amazing. First, it starts with a citation by the British or the English poet William Blake from The Tiger, famous poem by him. Did he who made the lamp make thee? And yes, it's the whole issue is the question, how is the Hulk made? What is he made from? How does he work? And if you haven't read the last issue, this will be a little spoiler. Hulk is like cut in little pieces. They try to find out. So this guy here is some scientist who General Ross appointed to explore what makes the Hulk work. And there's also the kind of Alpha Flight in space thing led by Captain Marvel and Sasquatch, who is not Sasquatch anymore. So in his civil persona, who also tried to find out what happened to him. So he disappeared from the face of Earth, and nobody knows where he is. And he's in this laboratory here, and they tried to find out what's going on with him. And man, I can't spoiler it for you because you have to see it yourself, but it's so great. The art is also so fantastic, and it's so gory and so dark and so horror-ish. And I can't believe this is, just a normal Marvel book. This is like Hulk Marvel Knights. If Marvel Knights would be a thing, and not the bullshitty Marvel Knights that they're doing now. I've sampled it. It's really bad. This is Marvel Knights. It's super dark. It's for mature readers. It's very intelligently written. Fantastic art. Great letters page. Super fun to read. Great book. Congrats, Marvel. So that's it. I hope some people will resubscribe after my Batman hate, because you see, I'm tolerant. I will always give a Batman book a chance. And yeah, it was a great stack of books. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you've read some of them and had a different opinion, I'd like to hear it. And yeah, see you next time with more comics. Bye bye.